All right, all right, all right. What's up? How is it going, everybody? I see the melons in the chat. Melon Man with the win. And I will read those super chats in a moment. But first, I have to say, I'm agreeing with this. Snappy? Yeah, NASCAR owned it. NASCAR had the best race today, easily. Spam those melons. Love seeing melons. Totally not going to take that out of context. It does not show American flag ones on here for some reason on my end, but it's okay. What is up, guys? That was fun. Again, that was fun. We will talk all about it. We will talk about Larson's failed double attempt and all the storylines there. We'll talk about guys like Hocevar and others who could have made a big push or made a statement in this race. We'll talk about Prime coming in and having a new era altogether. We'll talk about all of that. We'll talk about the Coke 600's resurgence that it has had in the last 5 years. Post-COVID, I don't think any race in NASCAR has improved its image, has improved its feel, both on television and as well in person, as the Coke 600. Was this race perfect? No, I don't think it was perfect. Was this race something that I think we all needed? Yeah, it definitely was. The World 600, yes, the World 600, the Coke 600, the World 600, you name it. It was exactly, I think, what the doctor ordered. We'll talk about all of that. We'll talk about Ross Chastain, the Melon Man, getting it done. We'll roll through the finishing order. But first, we always have to do it. It's a ton of fun. I see all of you guys spamming in the chat, having a good old great time. I want to know, out of 10, what did you think of this race? Because I'm going to explain what I think in a moment here. But I want to see what you guys think. Eric with the early 10. We have 8, 8.6 from Eric W. 9, 9.5, 8.6, 10, 8.6, 9. I'm gonna right now, as we're doing this, 9. We're at 10, multiple 10 out of 10s from you guys in the chat. 9.5, 9.9. I saw refreshing out of 10, which I think this race was. And I'm looking at my end on the poll. This might be wow. Very early, still the first 500 votes, but I have never seen it before where there is a 99% positivity rating on the Iceberg poll. Prime cooked. A lot of people bringing up Prime. We'll talk about that. Byron choked. We'll talk about Byron in this. 8, 9, 9.5. Badass by Ross. Keep it coming, guys. I love the feedback you're giving me. I love the talk about this. Lick that like button, subscribe if you're new. We'll do this after every race. Let's go into this race. Let's talk about it, because I'm having fun, man. I'm having a lot of fun with this thing. I've had fun all weekend with it. I apologize for those wanting a pre-race, but the race delivered enough for a fun post-race. Let's go into it. The 2025 Coca-Cola 600 on Prime. It was a fun one. It was a long one. 400 laps, 8 cautions for 52 laps. You had a margin of victory between Ross Chastain and William Byron of 6.673 seconds, just over or just under 0.7 of a second. Was, I think, not indicative of how close that finish really was. You had 34 lead changes in this race. 4 hours, 25 minutes, 7 seconds of high-octane fun. Ross Chastain, your winner over William Byron. Chastain came from last to first in this race. Proof that you can pass when this car is at a track that it fits well at. I think while a slow burn into this race, I still think this race proves to me that there is still hope with the next gen. This car can still cook at mile and a halves. This car still has some give left in it. The worry we had after Kansas, I think, was right. Even if it wasn't a bad race, it was, I personally think, leaning in a good race. This, to me, was a great race. This is what the Coke 600 is supposed to be. The Coke 600 is supposed to be a race that is a slow burn that usually leads to decent races. A lot of times good races, and sometimes you get greatness with the finish like that, and you get a season-changing finish in so many ways. So let's go through the lineup or the finishing order. Ross Chastain gets the dub right over the 24 of William Byron. Again, Byron led 283 of 400 laps tonight, nearly matching what he had done so far this season. Ross Chastain led 8. He led 8 laps in this race. And they were in a league of their own at the end of this thing. Chastain charging hard. We'll talk about that in a moment. Chase Briscoe, a third place run. That 19 team starting on the pole needed that kind of good run, and they delivered. AJ Allmendinger, a solid fourth place run tonight. Great points day for that 16 team. They were a top 10 team and driver all night long. Brad Keselowski in 5th, 6th was Chase Elliott. Michael McDowell supremacy with a 7th place run tonight. Now, these are all results from NASCAR.com based on their telemetry. So towards the back, you will notice it is different than Prime. If they change it on the website, we will change the results on our ticker. 8th is Christopher Bell. Ryan Preece, another solid 9th place run tonight. Noah Gragson, 10th. 11th, Stenhouse. Barry, 12th. Jones, 13th. SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen, a top 15 run. Yes, some of it was attrition. I get that. But on the other end of it, Shane Van Gisbergen, in my opinion, ran the best race outside of a road course in his NASCAR Cup Series career. I think that this was the best showing that 88 team in Trackhouse have had. The 99 was decent tonight. Zilich struggled, but that's what's to expect of a guy making his second start in the longest race in NASCAR. This race is something that is attrition of both the car and driver alike. But a solid 14th place finish. SVG fans, you should be happy with that. Marked improvement, should be noted as something to take that step forward with. From there, Kyle Busch, even after spinning, 15th place finish, 16th after leading 53 laps for Denny Hamlin. Did not get it full at the end, had to pit with about 12 to go. Did have the fastest lap bonus. And last on the lead lap, defending champion of the series, Joey Logano, 17th. 1 lap down for Todd Gilliland, Ty Dillon, and Austin Dillon, your top 20. 2 down for Cole Custer in 21st. 22nd goes to Buescher. Zilich, I think a solid 23rd place finish. Stayed out of trouble, stayed out of people's way, got that seat time that was desperately needed. Ty Gibbs led 6 laps based on some of that fuel run at the end. 24th place finish. Cody Ware, 25th. 2 down as well. 2 down with 1 lap led for Tyler Reddick. Disappointing night after the speeding penalty. John Hunter Nemechek, after running in the top 5, comes home. An unfortunate 27th place, 2 laps down. 3 laps down for Riley Herbst, 28th. Alex Bowman, trouble as well, spinning 29th, 3 laps down. 30th, 5 off the pace for Justin Haley. 12 laps down for Austin Cindric after issues in the middle of the race. Derek Kraus, last one on the racetrack. He ends up finishing 32nd. Now, when we get to 33rd on down out, you will notice that NASCAR.com's telemetry is different than that of Prime. Prime did show it on the commercial break, so there might be a bit of a glitch on the Prime side, seeing how NASCAR and Prime both had it at the same at different points. Josh Bilicki, 33rd. 34th, Carson Hocevar. We'll talk about Hocevar, man. Dude cannot catch a break, but I'm telling you, he is going to break through, and he is going to break through soon. 35th, Bubba Wallace. Here's a discrepancy from 36th to 38th. NASCAR has it as Suarez in 36th, Larson in 37th, Blaney in the 38th spot. Larson led 34 laps, spun early, never had the same car he had. A dismal, terrible, no good, very bad double for Kyle Larson. 39th is Zane Smith, and 40th in his 700th, but not last start, Jimmy Johnson in the 84. So let's get this thing going. There is the finishing order. If you didn't hear where I ran it over, or if people are asking, tell them to watch. This is where your driver finished via NASCAR's telemetry. Let's talk about the finish, man. Let's talk about this finish. Let's talk. We have this race, to me, is the most interesting race of the year that we've had. I think a big part of it was Prime. I don't even know where to start outside of the finish. Like, after we get past the finish, I don't know what to talk about because there's so much to go over. So let's talk about that finish. I had multiple pages of notes, which is so different from what we've been doing. But with about 38 to go, William Byron cycles out 1.8 seconds ahead of Hamlin. Out of the pits during the green flag cycle of stops, they come out even. Sounds like Byron did a different type of shifting than Hamlin that got him up to speed quicker, and that's what got you the distance between the 24 and the 11 and the one car, which was even further back. He was about 3 seconds back with like 38 to go. Denny 1.8 back. Of course, Denny bad on fuel, so it didn't really matter where he cycled out. Also, there you go. Spamming those melons. Storm Chaser melon on it. So Denny ends up getting passed by Ross. Ross is charging. And I think part of what got Ross Chastain this win, a big part, is that Reddick nearly wrecking, and having that issue, slowing down the 24 getting out of the rhythm as well. That is, in my opinion, what opened the door for Chastain to catch him when he did, which is crucial, instrumental in him getting there. He was making up a 10th or two a lap, so he probably could have got there earlier than the 16 to go when he did, or later, I should say. But he had 16 laps to play with, and that was enough that he was able to mount charges when things went wrong. With 15 to go, he really started diamonding the corner, similar to what Jeff Gordon used to do back in the day at Martinsville. Chastain found that kind of line here today in the 600. Byron did defend it, and I will give Byron credit. His car definitely was falling off towards the end. You saw it towards the end of this race. The 24 was falling off a bit, but he's so good at defending that he was able to actually get out there ahead of guys sometimes that might have been better at certain parts of the run than him. A master class, in my opinion, from both of them. Ross and Byron, what I enjoyed about this finish is that both of them, in my opinion, had their best attributes at stake and out there. Ross Chastain is a guy, in my opinion, that's a hard charger. Ross Chastain, if you put him on the attack, yeah, he might crash it like a Kyle Larson would, but he can make magic happen with the aggression. The passing hasn't been the greatest, but neither has the Trackhouse cars. But they got it dialed in, hooked up, ready to go. By the end of this race, this car was peaking, which is, again, classic Coke 600, classic NASCAR attrition races, endurance races. And so you had Ross on the offensive and on the attack. And then they said it. This year, according to advanced analytics, and we've seen it from multiple different sources, William Byron is the best at defending against guys on the charge. And when he was defending, I mean, it was, again, a masterclass. And it took Ross falling back, kind of cooling down, saving his stuff and his tires, and then making another charge in the last 10 laps. 6 to go. He pulls the slider, kind of self-clears a bit, but I don't think it's anything really egregious. I think that just about any driver would. The 24 gets in the wall but stays close. The fight is still on. The 24 now is charging. The 1 is on the defensive. So now both, in my opinion, are on their weaker ends of their attributes and skill set. So still, I think an even fight with all things considered. The 24 got close. With 2 to go, he was there. If the dirty air wasn't a problem, and I still think the dirty air is something that we definitely need to talk about, because I do think that as good and fun as this race was, the dirty air still has to be fixed. I cannot go by the wayside because we did have fun and we did have a good race. We can talk about that later on, though, because with 2 to go, 24 got closer, but Ross was able to defend perfectly, as perfect as he could. That got him far enough ahead once the 24 lost the handle of the car at the end, and it got Ross the win. Watermelon smash. Again, spam those melons in the chat, y'all. Put those melons out there. That is totally not going to get taken out of context by anybody. A lot of fun. And again, was this race, in my opinion, perfect? No. The grade I will give it, because I think the finish to me was a 10 out of 10. If that's what you want, a barn burner, fun finish after 4.5 hours of battle between all 40 of these drivers, a full field as well. I think another positive we had here, and damn, that's a lot of melons. I'm seeing there you go. Hashtag don't make it weird. Good on you, Jonah. There there is so much to talk about with that, but the race itself, I think, got better as it went, which again is classic Coke 600. And with that, you ended up having, I think, an 8 out of 10 race lead to a 10 out of 10 finish. I'm personally gonna give a 9 out of 10 to this thing. I still think we're gonna see a classic better than this year. I'm gonna stay positive with it. I'm very finicky with my 10 out of 10s that I give, just because I don't want to give them willy-nilly. But I would lean closer probably to a 9.5, give or take. 9.5 to 9. I loved this race. Did it get dull a little bit maybe in stage 2? Yes, but I even said it on the Twitter machine, the X machine, whatever you want to call it. I said, I like this race so far, but the action has to pick up in the second half of the race for me to continue liking it. Opinions change, and it did. It did pick up as it went, because yes, I have half a page of notes for just the last 30 laps here, but I still have front and back for the rest of the race. It was not like this race was it just a complete finish overshadowing the bad race. Was it harder to pass? Yes. That's something I think that needs to be addressed, because I only think it's going to get harder to pass if changes aren't made, though there have been. But again, those aren't important right now to talk about. We can talk about them later. On the other end of this, I think a lot of people want to talk about the new broadcasters. I mean, for the first time since 2001, we have a brand new broadcaster entering the fold. The first time since Fox entered in 2001. Now we have Prime entering. And there's been a lot of controversy about this from people online. I'm telling you, David said it live. I was already thinking about it, but David saying that put it into my head perfectly. We're totally making a video this week, and keep an eye out for it, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, of reacting to all of the angry tweets on that. Now, listen, I get it. I get that it is something new. I get that there's going to be those growing pains to get people there. The ratings might not even be as good as they were last year for a rainout. I get all of that. But this is a step I think that NASCAR needed to take when it came to its evolution of broadcast. You've seen the NHL take this jump. The NFL's taken this jump. The major sports that NASCAR is, like it or not, lumped in with popularity-wise, and I think that's the important part, popularity-wise, the NFL obviously ahead, but they're taking this jump. And so I think that Prime, and in my opinion, Prime, at least when I watch Thursday night games, has been excellent. And what did I think about it tonight? Now, this is what I want to say. Out of 10 in the chat, what did you think of the broadcast tonight, of what Prime did with this? I know they're having their post-race right now. I appreciate so many of you guys coming in and choosing this one. It means a ton. And I want to hear from you. I'm looking at 9s and 10s throughout. There's some 8s, some general positivity, majority positivity, I would say, on this. Obviously, I think there's going to be those similarities with NBC, with Dale Jr. kind of having free reign from the reports of it with it. There is a 5. There's a 5 here. So it wasn't all, not sunshine and lollipops for everybody. I get that. Here's what I'll say about it. In my opinion, I watched all the way. I watched the 5-minute countdown before they went live with the pre-race show, because I wanted the full scope. Now, I'm not going to watch the post-race. I'm not going to get copyright, because I want to have fun with you guys and talk with you guys about it. The pre-race was, in my opinion, generic. It was definitely a blank palette, and I think that might not be a good thing, but I think it's something they can at least grow off of. And you could tell Carl Edwards and Corey LaJoie, I think, were they were kind of getting their sea legs a little bit with it, and they're probably doing the same thing right now. Which, you know what, I'll take that. The same thing I said at the CW and NASCAR Productions. I will take these guys getting their legs underneath them a bit, and I will give them that grace rather than Fox and NBC, who I'm going to grade a lot tougher. And TNT, even, I'll give them a little more grace because they've been out of the game for NASCAR for so long, but I still will probably grade them tougher than I will Prime and CW, because I think new broadcasters deserve a bit of a grace period to grow. The pre-race and probably post-race, I think, can get built upon. and I think will. I think they'll take anything they get from it. Just because it was generic too doesn't mean it was bad. Generic and bad, I think, get conflated too often. The main race itself, um, I think just as solid as the race. And I think that's a reason why we had so many positive comments about this race compared to a lot of them with the Fox Sports side of things. The prime coverage, I think the booth was fantastic. I personally think that, and I'm a huge fan of him. I think if you were to say if anyone was even a weak link, it'd probably be AA, Adam Alexander. And I still think Adam Alexander is supremely underrated as a play-by-play announcer. I think that he gets too much hate from people. I still think he's really, really solid and gotten better. And I think his years with Fox and having to adapt has made him very fluid with his broadcasting. Steve Letarte, the explanations in this race, especially with about 20 to go, explaining why Denny Hamlin could not make it to the end, and zooming in the tools that they had at their disposal with the cutaway car, virtual cutaway car, with the ability to zoom in really well. The camera quality was out of this world good, and I love that. Excellent. Better than anything Fox has done all year. And I feel bad for Larry Mack because he tried and Fox just shoehorned and sidelined him too much for it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'm a fan, fully admit it. I probably have, not probably, I do have a bias towards him. I will say this. I really miss Dale Jr. in there in the booth, man. He brings that energy, and now and it's so fun seeing that difference between Chicagoland 2018. There you go. Take a shot. Anyone that was waiting for me to somehow shoehorn Chicagoland in here, but that race, his first race in the booth with the Cup side of things with NBC, and his first race here, his hometown track in Charlotte for the 600. It's so night and day different, but it brings that same energy. It's just now he's so honed. I mean, that first one, I mean, it hit like freaking crack when he goes, "We got a car to wall!" Like immediately, I'm like, "That's Dale. We're good. We're back." Like I love that. And I hope I am not keeping my neighbors up. I really hope so because they have a baby too. And I know that pain of a baby being woken up now, and I would really feel bad if I did that because they're great people. But as soon as I heard that, it was like that scene where the Hulk has the gauntlet and he's like, "Rah!" like that. You know, I mean, I was million miles an hour. Might have been the tall boy, a monster I chugged right before that too, but who knows? We got to spin, all that. Larson, and don't get me wrong. I think Dale was very rusty. I know they've been practicing, but you could tell early in this race, I think a lot of this team had nerves really hitting him. Trevor Bayne, especially, he looked so nervous. Dale Jr. with making mistakes. At one point, he said Larson's tire flew off. Then I think he said it was a 51 and ended up being the 66. Things that I think need to be ironed out. Do I think Dale's going to do this once they get to the TNT side or the end of the Prime side? Hell no. I think he'll be good to go because I think he's a really damn good announcer. But I absolutely loved it. The guys in the pits. Trevor Bayne, I'm still hemming and hawing on, but I think he can really improve. Kim Kuhn, Marty Snyder, love it. Those two fit into this like a glove perfectly. And obviously, I mean, they've been in the sport so long, they should. Like I said, Carl Edwards, a little bit nervous. I really like having him and Corey LaJoie up there, and I think they'll get better. Danielle Trotta, she knows how to host really, really well. We saw that with the Race Hub days. I don't know if she was sick or something, or if it was just I remembered wrong, but I swear her voice sounded a little bit lower tonight than I remember it being. I'm not nitpicking because it's fine. She did a great job. I don't care how her voice sounds. Like, she did a great job with it. The sound design tonight I thought was really great as well. There were points, I think, where the announcers were a little too quiet. The cars were a little too loud, but I will take the cars being too loud over the announcers sometimes, over not being able to hear a thing. We heard crowd noise at different points. The camera angle out of turn 4, awesome. I love it. The drone as well. Now, again, there were little mistakes. There were problems with the scoring ticker. Like I said, they did not get the right scoring for like 36 through 38. I think that should be something that is definitely addressed. And maybe NASCAR.com has changed it. But overall, I think they passed with flying colors tonight. Now they need to bring this action next week at Nashville, the week after at Michigan. Mexico, I know they will because that's a huge deal for them in the sport, and they need to bring it for Pocono, not Atlanta, Pocono to finish it off. And I have faith that they will. They've been great with every sport that they've gotten, and I think NASCAR's in good hands. On the other end, the ugly end for a lot of people is a lot of people were complaining about it. A lot of them were. And I saw some people in this chat that were kind of upset with it. And don't get me wrong, I think that this was lights out better than what Fox did for the Indy 500. I think Fox botched that one. If you saw the finish, they didn't. Fox managed to fuck it up so bad that they didn't even show the winner crossing the line. I'm not an IndyCar fan. I am a casual as casual can get. I watch the Indy 500. It's like, I grew up in going to Catholic school. So it's like the cafeteria Catholics growing up that would only go to church on Christmas or Easter. It's the same damn thing with me when it comes to religion of IndyCar. I show up for the Indy 500 and maybe I'll watch one or two every now and then if NASCAR ain't on. I know that's a weird ass comparison, but it is just my unique one with that. And yes, add one to the swear jar. I know. I should set a better example. But man, how do you screw that one up? Come on, Fox. And Chris Myers being like, then we're here at the Daytona 500. It's like, Chris, that was in February. Get your shit together, man. Hey, we even got an F-bomb tonight that wasn't apologized for. I love it when the sport is treated like an adult, like an adult, not a children's show, and taken seriously, but still had fun. I got to go back. The booth. Something I liked about the booth is every time they got a little sidetracked, Dale would bring them back, or Adam would bring them back, or Letarte would bring them back. They didn't go off the deep end and start just, shucking it up the way that Fox would. But on the other end, I know this is going to be difficult for a lot of fans to adapt to, but it's not like a lot of fans didn't know that this wasn't coming. This isn't something that popped up in the last week. This has been known since 2023. You can get a free month off with Prime, and at that point, it's like 10 or 15 a month. It's not that bad. It's really not. You can cancel it. This is the thing. You don't need to get this is something a lot of people need to learn, I found. You don't need to get a streaming service for the whole year. Cancel it once the thing you want is done, right? Just do that. I know they won't like me saying that, but it's what I do. It's true. I get it's harder for those that might be out in the rural areas and stuff, but at the same time, you have to adapt as time goes on, right? You got to adapt as time goes on. And so so many of them, so many older people I saw, and make a fake email. Yes, make a fake email and you can basically get it for free as long as you have those fake emails ready to go. Thank you very much, a positive. And I hope that people are listening. If you're watching and you weren't able to watch or you thought you had to pay or anything like that, I hope you take that moving forward. But you got to adapt. And I saw so many, and don't get me wrong, I was trolling like hell because it was easy to. There's so many older users that were saying, why are we being left behind? Why are we doing this? Well, it's because the core demographic on Prime is the one that NASCAR needs to survive long term. And this isn't like some shitty streaming service. It's not like, I'm a Cubs fan and they're on Marquee and that app sucks. It is terrible. Prime is elite, top of the line, because they know they have to put on a good show to get people to stay there. They have more users that are probably outside the NASCAR bubble than Fox would have, than NBC would have, than any cable channel would have. So you have to adapt with the times. I get it's difficult for some people, and I get there's some with shoestring budgets, but you can share accounts too. There's so many ways to do this. I kind of fail to see a lot of the excuses people use for that. So long-winded way of talking about Prime. Let's talk about some of the other stuff here. Kyle Larson and the failed double. It was a nightmare night. I mean, I think for a while, man, there was a real fun argument you could have about best driver in the world and all that. But Kyle Larson spun it out twice in two different forms of racing tonight. And I get it. There were regulars in IndyCar that were spinning it out too. So I'm not going to go out there and be like, Kyle Larson sucks. He's terrible. He's probably still one of the top 5-10 best drivers in the world. But if you're going to be in that greatest in the world conversation, you cannot spin out in two different disciplines of racing in the same day. It was very much double trouble and not in the good way. And yes, I agree. Cable will be dead I mean, it's going to be dead. It's falling away right now. Replacement rate for it is not good. But Kyle Larson, getting to the Kyle Larson side of things, man. Nightmare. I mean, the rain starting immediately put him on the edge of his seat with that, and it ended up not mattering, right? It really ended up not mattering at the end of the day. But immediately you knew that, like, crap, things are going wrong again. Spinning it out at Indianapolis too. I mean, just it happened to a lot of people. I mean, Scott McLaughlin, my pick, he went full mook and wrecked it on the warm-up lap. I was like, are you effing kidding me? Because I had a great weekend in picks before that. And then Kyle Larson comes here, takes the lead early, battling with William Byron. I think he probably had an even enough car with William Byron, but ends up, spinning out on his own. I know Bowman did it. I know others did it, but still spins out of his own. I don't know if he was pushing too hard. I don't know if he had, the endurance of it or something was down. I don't know what it was, but he ends up being a lap down or close to a lap down the entire night. Finally gets back on the lead lap, finally making his way back up around the top 15, gets caught up in a crash. Nightmare double. I honestly will say, this double was worse than last year. This double was worse than last year, and I don't think he's coming back next year or for a long while. I don't. I think between the pressure NASCAR put on him, the nightmare of logistics it turned into, the nightmare of racing that he had, I don't think that we see Larson. I'll ask you guys, and I'll put it as a poll. Do we see Larson in the double again? And I'll put yes next year. Yes in the future, or no. So we'll start the poll there. I think we might one day. I think when NASCAR kind of cools down from their power trip on it and being pissed about it from last year, but I don't think we see it next year. I think it'd be about 5 years. And to be completely honest, after the example that NASCAR put with it, granted, giving him the olive branch of allowing him to not be in the driver's meeting and be able to show up a little bit later, that was nice, right? But that was kind of like a Band-Aid on a cut wound across your arm. Like, you might need stitches, and NASCAR's like, here's a Band-Aid for it. NASCAR made it incredibly clear that you need to put NASCAR over the Indianapolis 500 if you're a NASCAR driver. And you could tell there was a little bit of animosity from a lot of people in that. And I don't think that a lot of drivers want to put themselves in that scenario. Plus, we don't know what the format will be next year. Next year, you might have to rely more on consistency and being there every week. You might have to do things like that. So you don't know. I mean, that's the other part of it. I think the big mystery box part of this is we don't know what it will take to win a championship next year compared to what it does this year. It might be wins like it is this year, but it might not. So you add that mystery and you have to have this stuff planned out far in advance. Plus, Larson had a 2-year contract with this thing. There was no talk of an extension. We really didn't hear anything about that. So it sucks because I wanted to see that so bad. And you could tell before the race at Indy, Larson looked nervous, and he looked like he was near tears after he had wrecked, at least. And maybe that was just me kind of like putting my own spin on it. I wanted to see it so bad. I don't get NASCAR fans who are rooting for his demise in this. I really don't. I get if you don't like the guy. I didn't like Kyle Busch back in the day. I really didn't like Kurt Busch at the time still when he ran the double, but I rooted for him because a NASCAR driver doing the double and performing well is a great mirror on your sport of how good your drivers are, how versatile they are. And it's a great way to showcase the talent of your drivers. And I want NASCAR to succeed as a sport, as a whole. And I think a driver like him doing well And any driver doing well is great for NASCAR. Just like when Tony Stewart did well, just like when Kurt Busch ran incredibly well in the Indy 500 and then ran well until his problems when he came and ran the NASCAR side of things with the 600. That is something that I think is, in my opinion, crucial when it happens to have success. So I don't get the hate boner that people have for Kyle Larson with this thing. I think it's stupid, and I don't care who it is. I think that that's something that is so dumb. I want to get back on the positive train. While this guy did not have a good finish, while just terrible luck has made up his year, Carson Hocevar tonight, I think, made a huge statement on his career. Carson Hocevar ran up front with the big dogs. He ran up front with Denny Hamlin, with William Byron. He ran up front ahead of guys like Ross Chastain most this night. He didn't cause his own problems the way that Alex Bowman or Kyle Larson did. He looked like a 10-year veteran racing guys who are close to or way more than 10-year veterans out there tonight. Carson Hocevar tonight, in my opinion, should be that dark horse up and coming star. I think this race to me did more to solidify what I think he will do in his career, especially if he gets in better equipment or Spire gets better, than even Homestead last year when he raced with the best of the best and finished up there with them. A damn good run by him. And I know if you might not like how he acts out there and his antics, and I get that. He has a checkered past, no pun intended, in this sport, in NASCAR. But damn, is he talented. I agree, Jonathan. Carson, in my opinion, he's legit. He is so legit. He was the man. He rode the Dente. He did it all. Unfortunately, the engine couldn't keep up with him. And that's the part that it pisses me off, because I think he could have won this race. Carson Hocevar in the 77 Spire machine could have won the Coke 600 off of pace. Does anyone else at home think that that's as crazy as I do? I remember when this car won at Daytona off of sheer dumb luck. Carson Hocevar tonight ran that car up there with Hendrick Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing. If that is not a statement race with a B, arguably C-level team, I don't know what the hell is. Just like we saw Ross Chastain back in 2022, 2021 make some statement races. This is the same thing with Carson Hocevar, and I think within the next year or two, he's going to be winning races. I'll say it right now. I will put it on the record. I'll put it on the record this Thursday night when we're live in this apartment on Eric's channel for NWP. Carson Hocevar will win a race this year. Carson Hocevar will win a race this year, and it's not going to be off of some rain shower coming through at the wrong time. It's not going to be off of fuel mileage. He's going to drive his ass off, drive the wheels off that thing, and he's going to go out there and beat one of your favorite drivers for a victory. Not in a huge attrition race, not some dumb moment that just, we put an asterisk next to it. He's going to go out there and whoop ass. He's going to do it. I'm passionate about it. I think the kid is a solid driver, and he's only going to get better. And I personally think if Spire improves a lot, they'll have to a lot. They'll never get to that A level. But if he goes to an A level team, right? If he goes to a Hendrick or a Gibbs or a Penske, God forbid that happens. I know that's the weird one, but they had Brad Keselowski back when he did his antics, and they have Joey Logano, and he's had plenty of antics over the years. If he went to an A-level team, Carson Hocevar, to me, within 2 or 3 years, regardless of the system, becomes a championship contender. I am that high on his stock. And I know people are like, come on, man, lower it down, simmer down. You're jumping the shark here. I don't think I am. I think he's been great. But man, what a great run. And, let's talk about some other great runs tonight, because there's so many great moments of this race and good racing. The first stage right off the bat was crazy, but let's talk about some others. AJ Allmendinger, 4th place finish tonight. And I'm looking through the stages here, right? AJ finished 5th in stage 1. He finished 6th in stage 2, 6th in stage 3, and he finished 4th in this race. NASCAR.com, I believe, has the amount of points they scored. They do. AJ Allmendinger scored 49 points today. To put that in perspective, Ross Chastain for winning scored 50. The most, I believe, was William Byron with the 65. But the third most points scored today was by AJ Allmendinger. Not a fluke at all. Yeah, sure, there was attrition for him to get up there, but AJ and that colleague team have impressed the hell out of me. They have been a borderline top 15 team this year, when, in my opinion, colleague is worse than it's ever been competitive wise. I think since they've went full-time in Cup, since honestly the turn of the decade, I think that this is the worst call league as a whole has been. AJ Allmendinger and that 16 team continue to defy the odds. Another top 20, top running Dillon brother. Ty Dillon, I get 19th and all, but again, should be highlighted. The call league guys outran the RCR guys for most part tonight. Which again, personally, at this point, I think you can make a real good argument that colleague is ahead of RCR in the Chevy pecking order of performance at this point. So great run by AJ Allmendinger. Brad Keselowski came to life. He was alive tonight. We saw him. There was a pulse on that 6 team. Fifth place run for Brad Keselowski tonight. 5th place run. I'm looking through. He didn't get points in the first stage, but I believe in this other, at least in the 3rd stage, I know he did. Or didn't, did he? No stage points. Damn. So no stage points. Showed up at the end. Still solid finish. Chase Elliott, top 10 run again. I think we should probably expect him to get better as it goes, but he ran really well speed-wise at Kansas. 1.5 miles might be the bread and butter for this 9 team to improve on as the year goes on. Don't overlook Chase Elliott this coming week at Nashville. Don't overlook him at Michigan. Don't overlook him as we go to more of these tracks. Looking at others in the top 10, Michael McDowell, 7th place run. Great run from Noah Gragson, top 10, much needed. Horrible season he's had so far. I think a huge letdown season in general, even for Front Row. Great run for him. And again, we talked earlier about SVG. Eric Jones, 13th today. Another solid top 15 and 11th for Ricky Stenhouse and Josh Berry in 12th. So really, really good runs tonight from some of them. Now, granted, did some guys really struggle? Team Penske, I don't know what the hell happened to them tonight. I mean, even before Blaney wrecked, he was a 25th place guy. Logano finishing 17th is about the best he could salvage out of it, and it's good on him for salvaging it. That car, when they were running with the rest of the full field, was maybe a 30th place car. Cindric, that car was just broke. I mean, the 12 laps down, yes, but he probably would have still finished near 30th in this race. Team Penske completely out to lunch. Barry, the absolute best of them. And I get it. Some of these guys would have finished lower had Denny Hamlin not made a mistake, had Tyler Reddick not made a mistake, had some of these others not tried to go crazy on the fuel mileage. But you know what? Ifs, ands, buts, whatever, woulda, coulda, shoulda, doesn't matter. They got those finishes and they earned those finishes tonight. And I'm looking at this running order and it's damn good for a lot of these guys. I absolutely loved this race. I loved it. I had a ton of fun. Maybe I might make it a 10. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it a 10. I had a lot of fun. I'd had to sleep on it, but I might push this to a 10. It was really that fun. And the Coke 600, I think, redeemed itself after last year. After, let's be honest, Fox called that race short. They did. They called the drivers of the car, and then Fox basically pulled the plug from the way it looked and sounded. And I think the more that Prime gets intertwined with NASCAR, the less problems we're going to have with it, just like with Thursday Night Football, just I believe like the NHL had. Great coverage, and I hope people showed up. I personally think the TV ratings will be higher than people think they are. There's so many people with it, and it was promoted so well, in my opinion. I think there actually might be more than people think, because some people are like, it's going to get less than 1 million. No, I really, if that happened, I'll literally eat crow. But I'm looking through this, and there's the spins at the start with the 5 and the 48. just absolutely things that cannot happen. There were green flag stops and strategy, long run versus short run cars, comers and goers. Was it difficult in the first part of this race to pass? Yeah, it was. There's no denying it. If you're denying it, you're in denial, I guess would be the right way to put it. Because it was difficult to pass. It got better as the night went on. I think it got better as the handling came and went for cars. The rest of the field got better. William Byron, that 24 team, they said they that was a struggle with it. They didn't know if they could get better with it. They didn't want to make some adjustments because their car was good, and that is a fatal flaw. Let's end this poll right here. 50% of you said in the future we'll have the double. 16% think next year, and a good quarter you'd say absolutely not going to happen. Let's yes or no. Did Byron choke? Because I know a lot of people were in there saying that. Personally, I don't think it's a choke when the car falls off and when, the driver's holding on more than he was before. The one car, in my opinion, was simply better. They adjusted better, they ran better, and in the end, they executed better at the end of that run. I don't consider this a choke job by the 24. This isn't the 24 hitting it into the wall multiple times. This isn't the 24 spinning it out, just trying to overcook it to stay ahead of the one. I think this is him just plainly getting beat. And it's heartbreaking for a lot of Byron fans. And I get it's fun for a lot of non-Hendrick fans to dunk on Hendrick drivers and fans and say all that. I think that he ran as hard as he could with Denny Hamlin. I think he had issues like what happened with Reddick slowing him up, but that still might not have mattered at the end. And I think in a degree he did burn his stuff up where Ross was smarter in it. And that's the chess match you have to play in these races. This is what the 600 was for so long. Growing up, this is what I remember the 600 being like. It is mind, body, machine, team. Everything has to be perfect and peak at the right time for you to win this race. And we saw the 24 team, they just peaked too early. The one team peaked at the right time. And to me, that's kind of just where we are with this, man. That this is where this race really changed for both of them at the end. Again, there were so many different crazy things that happened in this race with the passing. SVG had an amazing save at one point. I thought he was going into the turn one and going to go right in front of the whole pack. Saved it. Saved a great night. Again, I think outside of road courses, this might be the most impressive run of his Cup career. It might be the most impressive run of his Cup and Xfinity combined career. When you take out the road course races, because this is not what he grew up doing. This is not his form of racing, and he needs his flowers for it. I've been critical of Trackhouse all year in general, but also with their decision to bring SVG full-time up to the Cup Series. There's been talk of people saying, should he be demoted and Connor Zilisch get that car? And real credence to those conversations. But Trackhouse too, there's been talk. They've been off. We've had Suarez talk a bit about it. Chastain talk a bit about it. We know Suarez's wife, she ran her mouth about it in the documentary. That's certainly going to help their relationship with the team. But they've been very vocal. These cars are not where they need to be. They very much look like the way that Chip Ganassi Racing ran before. This was a breath of fresh air, a great way for the one especially to save that kind of season. And it's going to be fun seeing what Ross Chastain can do when the pressure cooker heats back up at the end of the year. There's to see the Zillbillies in there. I love that. I hope that sticks. I really do. But there are very few negatives. Again, I do think the one negative that we really need to have with this is the dirty air is still a major problem. William Byron is great at defending, but I think defending has gotten so OP with this car, and we need to nerf it a little bit. We need to even that playing field. The balance between offensive and defensive driving, I think, needs to get scaled a bit better. Dirty air will always be a problem. It's always going to be a problem. These cars are going fast. They are 200-mile-an-hour bricks, dude. 200 mile an hour bricks. they're going to be aerodynamically deficient in some ways for the trailing car, but they do need major improvements because I think that we could have seen even better racing if it were a bit easier to pass, and the charging cars had a bit more, I guess, ability to be able to do those things. So I want to see them, and this is not that it's mutually exclusive. We just focus on the intermediates, because I saw others be like, we need to fix the short tracks, we need to fix the super speedways, we got to fix, the some of the other. No, we fix it all. NASCAR should be fixing all of this, and maybe up in the horsepower to 750 or 800 next year, like what's been rumored. Maybe that's a good part of the ingredient to it. It shouldn't be lost, but we're 50 minutes into this thing, and that's now when we're talking about it. I see Cameron here says get rid of the rear view cameras. Maybe to a degree that might help, but the mirrors are the same thing, and these drivers know how to drive with these mirrors. So it might be a little bit of a difference, but I don't think that's going to give you the difference that changing the amount of dirty air would give you. Because they can use those all they want, but if somebody like Chastain has a much more maneuverable car, they're going to get ahead of the less maneuverable car. So I think that's, at least if you're going to take anything that we need to maybe take from this to change or to improve upon, that's it. That's my constructive criticism on that part, from a guy who probably has no damn idea what he's talking about in aerodynamics when things push come to shove. But my experience of watching racing, and I've watched racing now for 21 years, those are things that have come up more and more over the years, and they need to get in check. Test at Charlotte, test at Charlotte this off season. Let's keep up on this, because what we saw tonight is exactly what I wanted to see from mile and a half racing. It was difficult to pass, but not impossible. It was not like the short tracks, but it can be better. It's like that scene in like the trailer for the new Wonder Woman. It's like, life is good, but it could be better. Exactly what I think the motto should be with this and with NASCAR. But overall, man, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. By the way, again, on the post tab on my channel, we have the poll up. It is an incredibly positive, a little bit more negative than it was before. I think it's like 95 or 96% positive at the moment, but still, vote on that. Let's go into some super chats for the I thank you so much for those who waited for the super chats, that left them an hour at this point. That's a long race, a lot to talk about, late night, a lot of fun. I cannot stress enough how much fun I had tonight, with the broadcast, with the racing, with the glitz and glamour, and the fact that I really do think this, and you know what? 62% said no, Byron didn't choke. So we're going to end the poll there. And I'm going to put this up. What was your favorite race today? Was it the Coke 600 for NASCAR? What you got? We have a very partisan NASCAR audience, but you guys have been pretty honest in the past with what you think on it. So I want to know your honest opinion on it. Is it the Indy 500 for IndyCar, or is it Monaco with F1? What was your favorite race today? For me, it was the 600. Like, far and away, it was the 600, which I didn't say that in years past. I thought the Indy 500 was better. I thought it lived up to the prestige. Now, maybe part of that was Fox botching a lot of it, the stupid AI Michael Strahan crap, the missed moments, the very low energy, the very solemn energy at the start of it. It was very depressing, which reminded me of their NASCAR broadcast. We can be very respectful without depressing the audience about Memorial Day. It is a solemn holiday. And again, remember why we celebrate this in America. But at the same time, on a broadcast, we don't need to depress everyone with it. Mike Joy was just good enough not to do that. I got that. It was just a weird vibe today on the Indy 500 front. NASCAR just was so much better in every aspect today, and it makes me feel good because I am biased to NASCAR still. I did not think I'd yap for 55 minutes before we talked in the super chat side of things. So let's go into super chats. We got a lot to go over, and I appreciate everyone for waiting. And I get, I thank all of you for coming in and staying this long on your Sunday night. Off day for a lot of people tomorrow, so I hope you're able to stick around longer and have a lot of fun with that. So let's go into it. Some of them we won't be able to post live just because they happened beforehand. But Hunter Nixon Fishing with the 10 says, tough day as a Larson fan, but freaking great race. Anyone that says this was the same or worse than the Gen 6 at Charlotte, you are simply wrong. I agree. I do agree. Respectfully, I'll disagree with you. 3 ill. Forgive me. I keep forgetting. I believe it's 3. Says for the 2, last to first. What a race. Yeah, what a race. I mean, yeah, you can't pass, but the guy that started last finished first in this thing. Zer Jonathan for the 2 says, being a Suarez fan in 25 is a struggle. Any hope? I think there are still some races coming up he can be good at. I do think that he is going to show out in front of his hometown or home country crowd in Mexico in a couple weeks. Another one from 3 here for the 2. Also, Charlotte delivered our last mile and a half hope. Yeah. There are a lot of people like, if Charlotte's not good, I don't know if I can watch the rest of the year because there's no hope. No, mile and a half will still be good when the conditions are good and right. And I like that. Super Spirit for the 5 says, apparently you can pass in these cars despite what the internet tells you, 40 at the first. Yes, you can. It is more difficult, and I think that should be still put out there. But it's true. You can still pass in these things, especially at mile and a halfs when the conditions are good. Blake for the 2 says, fun race. Great first broadcast for Prime. Again, agreed again. And NASCAR Fanatic 2425 for the 10-month member chat says, great coverage by Prime. Good debut to NASCAR. Yeah, I think they earned a lot of people's trust and respect tonight. And that's what they needed to do going into this thing. The Real Young Cub says, don't forget to smash that watermelon, y'all. That is right. Watermelon and milk. That is your diet today. Justin Drake for the 20 says the broadcast quality difference tonight compared to the last 3 months was insane. NASCAR finally had a great broadcast crew working a race this season, and you knew it was an electric finish, unlike certain Fox broadcasts. Yeah, I mean, the night and day difference between Fox. And that was the crazy thing, is a lot of the criticism I saw Prime, they're like, I hate this coverage. Dale Jr. is too loud. Adam Alexander's too nasally. I don't like all the gimmicks and graphics. It looks terrible. If it looked terrible tonight for you, or if wasn't full screen for you, I'm sorry to say, and I mean this respectfully, that was a you problem. That was either you had your TV set up the wrong way, your TV was too old, or your internet was not good enough to have clear HD coverage of it. Because I made sure mine was all set up right. I made sure the internet was good to go so I could stream while the Prime side of things is still up on my end. And it was crystal clear all night, just like it should have been. This is not me ripping on people if you're in a bad area for internet. This is me just simply stating it was probably a user issue rather than a provider issue. And it's the same thing with CW. So many of the same people that I saw the same issues they had with CW had it with Prime. And to me, there's a common denominator with those. Especially if you still have if you have a smart TV, you have to go into the settings of your television in order to get things correct with that. And I implore you to look on YouTube. I'm a NASCAR channel. I don't need to give a 101 on that right now. But I wanted to make that clear. And it's going to happen to everyone at some point. Because I stream all my races. I have YouTube TV that streams all my races. Prime, of course. I do that for football games too, baseball games. It happens. Your internet has dips or it goes out. That happens. It's a problem with Prime. It's a problem with Apple. It's a problem with all of them. But it's part of the game of evolving with this and getting more up-to-date, clear, and better coverage over time. And I'm all for it. Tyler McGonigal, our resident Byron fan, my buddy, I am sorry for you tonight. I'm sorry for all you Byron fans. It's a heartbreaker. Trust me, if there's anyone that was part of a fan base that knows about heartbreak in the 600, right here. I get it, man. Says gutted. Just a gut punch. That one hurts bad. Nothing more as a fan than you can say, man. I 100% get it. And I feel for all you Byron and Hendrick fans out there. I get other people don't. I make jokes back and forth at just about any driver, and especially at Hendrick ones. But I do feel for y'all. That is a rough way to lose, to dominate this race. I mean, this wasn't maybe a domination the same way of, say, like Martin Truex Jr. in 2016, I believe it was, in the 600. This wasn't leading every single lap, but 283 out of 400 laps. That is almost 71% of the race led in the modern era of NASCAR. That is again, pure domination if the next gen era had ever show it. William Byron twice now this year has dominated the opening parts of these races only to lose it at the end. I feel for y'all, man. And yes, where's it at? Yeah, 392 in 2016. That's way more than this. I get that, but this is still really freaking massive when it comes to dominating a race. GN NASCAR fan for the 5 says, when Prime cut to pre-race stage and Rowdy fans, I was instantly back in 2010 watching Speed. If Fox refuses to adapt, then get out. Awesome finish. Yeah. I would so welcome at this point if CBS took over the NASCAR slate in the first 12 races or whatever, moving forward in the next contract. Because if we're not going to, and I get NASCAR is to blame and culpable for this as well. They're not innocent. Us fans are the ones who suffer from any of these problems. But if Fox is not willing to adapt, and we have seen NBC adapt, we have seen Prime and CW adapt, we have seen TNT talk about adapting and some of the stuff they're going to be doing with that and True TV and TBS and all of that. Everyone is adapting but Fox Sports. And this is, again, we saw it with the Indy 500 today. We've seen it with the NFL. We've seen it with the MLB. Fox refuses to adapt with the times. And we saw tonight how much better it can be when you just have people who care. That's all I want. I just want it to seem like they care. And I get the people on air like Jamie Little, in the pits, and Josh Sims, like Mike Joy. And I know he's kind of not as good as he might have been, but he's still pretty good. Kevin Harvick and Boyer, I get that they might not be the greatest. I think they care. But the people providing these races, that it looks like they care and they put the money and the effort into it. That's all I want to see. I don't need you to readapt and change the wheel if you're Fox. I just need to see progression. I need to see you move into the modern era. I don't see that. I don't want to see freaking cartoons and AI. You thought the cartoons were bad. Just wait until they have moving AI portraits of your drivers popping up. Because I feel like that's the next line, as I just nastily spat all over my microphone. Great thing I have the spit filter or whatever, pop filter. Spit guard, if you will. If you thought that was bad, this is like the next logical leap in their stupid graphics package. Because when they do the truck series and they have the normal pictures, it looks really good. The color is there. They just need to have the good pictures, man. That's like the next logical leap to me, is that they're going to start making these really crappy AIs that like do these weird like smiles. Please, Fox, listen to us. See what has changed. See the positivity that those who actually watch the Prime broadcast, instead of bitching and moaning on Facebook and Twitter, see what they did. See how you can adapt. See what they like about NBC. See what TNT is doing different, and CW with NASCAR Productions. Please, I implore you, test it with the truck series. I get that the truck series they treat as like, the ugly stepchild. Please, Fox, listen and see that. Because use NASCAR as the guinea pig to try new things for your NFL broadcast, new good cameras and stuff like that, like they used to do with like the gyro cam and the shark, like the Megalodon cam and all of those. Please, man, please. That's all I ask. And there you go. There's my rant for the night. And there's my negativity part. I'm still bashing on Fox. The further we get away, the more this wound will heal for all of us. Snappy, of course, I talked about it earlier for the 2-month member chat, says NASCAR just owned the greatest day in motorsports. 100% correct. 100% correct. NASCAR, in my opinion, was the best out there. And 94% of you right now agree. 5% said Indy. 1% said Monaco. Cameron, for the 2, says amazing, but heartbreak finish as a Byron fan. I get it, but I applaud Byron fans, and unless I applaud a lot of fans tonight. I saw a lot of the dumbest, most ignorant comments about it, and I trolled because they deserve to be trolled. Some of these ones, especially the Facebook crowd that ventures over to other platforms. But I'll say this, so many fans, when their favorite driver loses, get mad, don't like the race, all that. I give it to a lot of you Byron fans. You were good sports tonight, and your day will come to have your awesome win. On the other end, too, I saw, because I made fun of a lot of, in my words, crusty old people that are bitching and moaning about Prime, right? and not be willing to adapt with the changing times and wanting things to stay the same as they were, 40 years ago. I want to say to all of those out there who fit that description, and that was not a blanket statement to all people that are older or have want to, have a normal broadcast like we've had in the past, but more that was, just aimed at those people, not the whole broad group. I want to say to those, I saw people in their 80s and 90s who DM me, who responded to me like, hey, it took a bit, but I was willing to see it change. I want to see this. Thank you for being open-minded about change. My grandpa, he's texting me. And I'll give my grandparents credit to them, and they are younger grandparents, but credit to them, they are very open to those changes, and I love that. And I hope more people are like them like that and are willing to take those. And I while I complain about some of them and troll some of them, and we'll have fun this week with a nice little trolling video about them ripping on some of the dumber people that talk today, old and young. I want to give the credit where it's due to a lot of people who are probably thinking and maybe insulted and saying like, hey, I'm not like that. I tried that. Thank you for trying it. Even if you didn't like it, thank you. And for those who said, hey, I don't want to get Prime, I just have to grit my teeth and deal with it. Thank you for acting like adults and not, throwing a fit on there. We should spread that positivity around. Because this was a good weekend, in my opinion, for NASCAR, regardless of what the ratings say. Taking that brave new step in, and I get they put a lot of money. It's not brave for the executive. It's brave for the rest of those who aren't getting the payroll for it. That should be something that's positive for the sport this weekend. Cameron, your day will come as a Byron fan to get that awesome dominant win. And I hope you're happy when it does come that way. SW says absolute cinema. Prime puts Fox to shame. Agree on 100% of that. Agree. Same with Kendo Slice saying, and that kick in the nuts profile pic is exactly what it's like watching a FS1 broadcast for NASCAR. Prime over Fox. Melon Man, positive night again. Racing Rail Fanner 93 for the 5 says, and I'm not picking my nose, I'm itching it. Says, I blame Reddick, but happy for Chastain from worst to first. Greatest race of the weekend. Also welcome Prime. Yeah, again, if the Reddick thing doesn't happen, we really might not get the finish, because Byron was good enough that if he had to defend for maybe 5 laps, like you showed at first, he probably could have done that and hung on and won. But that's part of the 600. That's part of endurance. The endurance aspect of NASCAR racing is you need to navigate those lap cars. I know we had a good amount that were within 2 laps. Usually we have like 25th can be like 10 to 20 laps down in these 600s. But we had a good amount of lap cars in this race, and as leaders, they had to navigate that. And I thought that they did marvelously tonight. And this is what I love about NASCAR. The best of the best, having to navigate so many different aspects, from strategy to your car going away, to saving your stuff, to going through the lap cars, to racing man on man, one on one. I love it. I told my wife as I'm watching this with her, as I'm like, come on, Ross, get there, make a battle out of it. Because I like rooting for the guy in second a lot, because it makes it fun. I told her, this is what I love about NASCAR. This is what I grew up, what I fell in love with as a 7-year-old boy. And I felt like a little kid watching this, between all of the excitement and all of it. And I love that feeling. Absolutely love that feeling. Jordan here with the 2 says, I don't think Larson made it 600 over the 2 races. Let's see. He finished, I believe, 78 laps finish. He wrecked out on lap 79, so we'll add a mile to it. Let me do the math on it for you. I think you're right. If it makes any better, I think you're right. I see Tanny Jackson here saying he did 595. So if you do that plus, let's see what we got here. Kyle Larson, where are you at, buddy? 245 times 1.5 is 367.5 plus 78 times 2.5. Was it 78 or was it like 92? I think you guys are right. I think it was Yeah, 594, 595. And yeah, Spencer, Prime just signed off 12:18 a.m. Eastern time after they did a recap of the race. And thank you for watching on the bottom left. Listen, I had people asking me like, hey, Prime and NBC are talking about doing more post-race shows. Are you kind of upset by that? And are you upset because you might not get as many people watching your streams? Don't get me wrong. Like I love having you guys all come in here, and I love seeing so many in this community over the last 4 years grow. And I remember Danny asking it's 91 laps. So you're right, 595 or so. Good on you. But I remember Danny asking on the podcast, like, hey, are you kind of worried about it? Are you kind of upset by it? Like they're stealing your thunder, And I said, no, because as much as I love doing this, and I will do this if they have a 3-day long post-race show, it is not any YouTuber's job or any podcaster or journalist like Gluck and Bianchi's job, or even the NASCAR YouTube channel's job. It is not their job to provide good quality post-race coverage longer than the 10 minutes where they shuffle off to like cricket or UFL or whatever the hell they're showing afterwards. No disrespect, but just saying. It's not my job to be the hub of all post-race coverage. It is the job of the broadcasters putting these races on. And listen, I'm probably going to end up doing a 90-minute post-race show because I love talking about NASCAR and I could yap about NASCAR forever. I've been doing it for 8 years on this channel. I'm on my 8th year of this. But it's not my job to do that. I expect that out of the ones paying the big money and showing up at the track, getting these exclusive rights to do it at the track. Use that time. Do I think that Prime is going to do this every week, an hour and 10 minutes? Because I went live 10 minutes, so about an hour and a half post-race show. Do I think they're going to do an hour 20, hour and a half post-race show every week? No. If they do, I will be thoroughly impressed. Thoroughly impressed. But do I think that they will up their game and at least, because I said I think that they were going to aim for a 45-minute post-race show each week. Do I think it'll be 45 minutes and they will stick with that, similar to what they do with the NFL? Yeah, I do. I think that is the bar that they have set, a very high quality bar. I hope that keeps going. I hope so. I hope that they are the number one place in their 5 races to go for post-race coverage, because that's how it should be. I have faith all y'all will chill with me and watch it double, or chill with me or watch this back after the fact. I will try and diminish the ads on it, by the way, because YouTube keeps adding like an ad every minute, just like Spreaker did for the podcast. I'll get more on top of that. That's all fine, but I love it. Absolutely love that direction they've went with it. Let's see. CBA with Seabass, I believe, with the 10 says Prime coverage was outstanding, and it was only their first race. Definitely made up for the awful Monaco GP and very mid Indy 500. Yeah, that's the thing about the greatest day in motorsports. They always manage to have at least one good one, if not more. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Super Noob says, as a Byron fan, I'm pissed, but I can't argue with a melon smash. Yeah. And this thing with Ross, they're going to Nashville. This is, I would argue, Trackhouse's best track. He could go back to back. Wouldn't that be crazy? Back-to-back melon smashes. That would be about, I think, the best way to start it off if you're Prime. If you're Prime, that is like one of probably the 5 best storylines you can get to start off your first 2 races is Ross back-to-back. I think their best case scenario, honestly, at this point is if Chase Elliott breaks the winless streak on one of their races. Because I think that would hit like ratings crack for them. Fred Dog with a 5 says, honestly disappointed in Prime. Energetic crew, but the graphics were meh, similar to Fox. Had trouble following people outside the top 10. I expected better. Okay, I will go with you on that. There were 2 other things here we'll talk about with that. The graphics, I do agree, were very basic, and I think should be added upon. Probably add more color to it so it's not as sterile. Very, to me, reminiscent of a lot of some of the issues with NBC. So I'll say graphics wise, okay, I'm with you on that. The other one, and I've had this problem with Prime for a long time. Back in the day when I would start watching like The Boys or Invincible or Vox Machina or Has Been Hotel or any of those shows I like to watch on Prime. If I'm paying for Prime, why the hell do I have to watch commercials? And I'm glad they did the side by side. We did not miss a lap of green flag racing, except for when they covered the whole screen like Fox says. Don't like that. So again, nitpicks, but I think you can add to them. I think they're very basic, but I think you can add to them and still have very basic but good graphics. And I think the majority of the other graphics were really good. So I think that was just nitpicky. I think maybe they can like nitpick here or there, maybe make like the starting grid graphic a little bit bigger across the screen. There's stuff like that. We can nitpick it, but I really think we're kind of like grasping at straws, nitpicking to say different things they can get better. And the first broadcast, I think they can do better. So I'm not disappointed. I'm sorry you're disappointed. I'm not. Andrew Winslow. For the 5, the locales of the week are Scotty Mack for his Roberto Guerrero impression at Indy, and Carson Hocevar for his engine blow up and staying put. I don't blame that on Carson. Your engine blows up, you're basically just at the mercy of everyone else. And I don't think there's any way that, especially once he finds out and he's getting swallowed up by the pack, he can't get out of the way. Maybe that's me as a Hocevar defender. I totally get that. Cameron here says Prime's coverage was phenomenal tonight. I believe that they will be the gold standard going forward. This was better than an NBC broadcast. I don't, this thing, I'd want to watch more because I don't want to go off of just one. But if they do this and build upon it the next couple of weeks, I do think that would be better than NBC, which is crazy because NBC has been my favorite of the broadcasters. Let's see what else we got here. Dan Miller, 5, says Dale Earnhardt would have won $12K if not for Logano's dirty air, but congrats to the Melon Man. I saw Dale do that. I was reading that and in my mind begging, I'm like, just cash out the 1,600 or whatever it was. Just take the money and run. You know what? 1,500, that is money that'll change a lot in this economy. Let's see. Steve Lane says, as a 23 fan, I wanted to be tied to the next rocket being flown to the sun. Great race though. 8 out of 10. Well done, Ross. Yeah, for Bubba Wallace fans, I get that. That had to be just agonizing. I mean, where did he end up finishing? What was it? 35th. Oof. He's had a great start. Still the best start of his career because he always gets better as the year goes on, but he is, I think, one of the definitions of when you're hot, you're hot. When you're cold, you're cold. Andrew Winslow for the 25-month member chat says, shout out to Alex Palou. He's an all-time legend now. I mean, he's on a just generational run right now in IndyCar. There's the reason why I was so upset when David sniped him right at the start of the picks for the Indy 500. Scott McNew, good to see you, man, for the 10. Shout out to Prime tonight. Totally blew Fox out of the water. 9 out of 10 for me. Speaking of Fox, I was at the Indy 500. How was their coverage of the race? Lackluster. It was very lackluster. I think they dropped the ball in a lot of places. I think they cut corners in a lot of places. The AI, I think, is especially indicative of that. And I think this is indicative of the fact that I think the luster for them is wearing off past the Indy 500. I honestly think that Fox is starting to show their true colors with it. I just mid at best, honestly, very lackluster. And it sucks to say that because I thought their first couple broadcasts with IndyCar were awesome. And I was so jealous as a NASCAR fan. But the direction of this race, the Foxisms are really bad. And even and I'll say this, Prime pre-race, I had like that thing with Steve Letarte with the puppets I really wasn't crazy about. Keep it serious enough, but it's not the end of the world. And I don't think that that's, I don't think that that's something that's really going to set the tone. A one-off 2-minute thing here is not going to ruin it. But Fox was just it was one of the worst Indy 500 broadcasts I think I can ever remember. And it sucks. Like it felt, honestly, that to me, this is my opinion here, because they put green flag commercial breaks for the Indy 500, which Indy and Daytona, I think that should be treated as like the holy grail with reverence and respect, especially Indy. But I think the Daytona 500 falls into this as well. Reverence, respect, the history in these races, the challenge of winning them, the lead up, especially with Indy, the lead up. And to me, and say if you, and let me know if you disagree, but to me, Fox made the Indy 500 feel like just another NASCAR race. The Indy 500 today, with how Fox to me treated it, felt like just another early season NASCAR race. And that is not how the Indy 500 should be treated. I think they'll get a big number, but I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be just sort of turned off by it. You know, I think Prime treated the 600 the way Fox should have treated the Indy 500. And I love it because I think the 600 got neglected at the end by Fox as just another race when it is a race that should be treated with reverence in NASCAR as well. And I think Prime nailed it. Dale Jr., I think, had creative control, and it showed. Eric W. with the 15-month member chat saying 40th to first in a backup car. And backup cars now are not like as even as they were in the Gen 6 era and the era of more practice. So that was a hell of a team effort. Steve-O says, way wrong with my 500, 600 yesterday. Tough day for us Larson fans. Ross better give Joey some of that watermelon. Yeah, the lap traffic, man. Says, thanks to my fallen brothers and sisters for your sacrifice. Happy Memorial Day. Yes, thank you to those who are not with us. And I get that, it is definitely difficult for these broadcasts to talk about, but it is true. Thank you to those who aren't with us for their sacrifice and also for their families for their sacrifice. If you can, please, and you did partially with the start of this, if you would again spam American flags in the chat for those. Because they should be remembered today as well. It is a solemn holiday, but it's still a holiday, and we should celebrate it and the sacrifices they made by being with those that we love and cherish. But definitely spam those American flags in there because I think that's the least we can do right now. From there, me says Chase went from 16th to 6th in the final run. Yeah, I mean, for those thinking Chase Elliott's washed, dude still has it in him, and I really think that they get those cars better underneath him, he will be just as great as I think he should always have been. Z06 Paul for the 5 says, let's talk about Brad for a sec. He came back from one lap down to a top 5 finish. Very impressive. He's on a mission to beat the washed allegations. I hope he does. I personally still think he is, but he's shown some life the last 2, especially these mile and a halves. RFK, I think, has found something, especially with that 6 team. I hope he does. I hope he proves me wrong. If there's anything I think NWP has proven the last few years, especially with our accountability and talking about predictions and everything, is that me, Danny, and Eric, I think all of us, I think we are very open with confronting our wrong predictions and takes. And I hope that is a prediction and a take that I had and have still that is proven wrong, because I want to see Brad Keselowski have one last good swing at it. Fred Dog for the 5 says, also as a kidney transplant patient, Letarte telling puppets to hold it in and damage their organs at the window rubbed me the wrong way. I don't think it was meant to personally. I am sorry that did come across that way. Wes for the 2 says, Carl Edwards and Corey LaJoy as host. Very good. They are good. Great in front of the camera. I think Carl is a little green, and I think he'll get better as it goes once he's sort of molded better and gets used to this. I love doing a show like that in front of everyone, in front of fans. We need that fan interaction. We need that in NASCAR. We need something like NASCAR Race Day. I went back and rewatched 2011 Speed Weeks a couple weeks back. There were 2 things that I took from that were very interesting I've forgotten about. One, Amber Turd was actually the Grand Marshal for the 2011 Bud Shootout. And It's amazing where she lands on the crazy hot scale. The other one was the 2011 Daytona 500 pre-race show was done at the end of the tri-oval in front of a huge crowd of fans, and the energy was palpable and it led perfectly in. That's exactly the best part of the pre-race show today, and I hope that more learn from that. I hope they do it with TNT, seeing how it's pretty much the same people working on it, just a different network. I think they will, but I hope NBC does the same thing, and I hope Fox learns from this and does it next year for the Daytona 500 even more. Who Amber Heard, but seeing how she shat in Johnny Depp's bed, we're calling her Amber Turd. My dad says, see ya in a week. See you in a week, Dad. Can't wait to see you. Yeah, so you guys will be down, and my grandparents will be down around the same time, and then Eric will be here. It's gonna be a fun week. Got the baby here. It's good times. Good times are they're keep on keeping on. See you in a week, Dad. And safe drive back home as well, because I know they left a bit late tonight. So safe drive. By the way, in the chat, wish them a safe drive home, because they came down and helped immensely this past weekend with my wife and I, and give my family some love, please. They deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. Snappy with the 5 says, the ultimate irony. Lapper Denny helps Chastain win a crown jewel. Yeah. That is, I think I told that to Riss, because Riss, as a Denny fan, was so upset with the Hail Melon. She thought it was awesome and doesn't blame Ross for doing it. It's what he had to do, but she was so upset with that, thinking he was in. She was so excited and then deflated. She's like, I really don't like Ross. But then afterwards that happened, she's like, oh, it's good. I like Ross now. And I think she reflects how Denny feels with that too. It's going to be interesting hearing Actions Detrimental this week. John for the 5.99 euros. Again, American school system. So I'm sorry. We don't learn much from outside of our own country. But says great race, little sound hiccups in the world feed, but that's the only critique I have. Yeah, there were definitely some, and I think those do need to be ironed out. And again, nitpicks should not be negatively viewed. I think nitpicks are just things that we can just use to iron it out. Okay, it is a euro, so I was right. Thank you. Awesome. And I appreciate it. By the way, while we're doing this, spam in the chat if you're in the States, what state you're in. If you're in a country outside of the US, spam where you're at. I want to know where you guys are at right now. I know that we're going to go really super long. We're basically doing like an early NWP with this. But I want to see what you guys think. Where you guys are. Where are you guys at? Because I'm seeing a lot of states, a lot of them all over the place. We got some in New York, Midwest, down south, Florida, lots of Florida, my home state. Yep. North Dakota. I'm just going to ask these pop up. Just grab each one. Michigan, PA, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. Take me home. Virginia. You're not at my mom's house unless you're my brother. Then maybe you are, or her dog. New York, but not the city. My home state. I'm going to take it. That's Texas. Ireland. Awesome. Let's see. California. I saw Long Island in there. South Carolina, California, New Zealand. I'm assuming from the Kiwi Nick, New Zealand, Canada. I love it. I'm sorry. The Canadian flag, the flags for some reason don't pop up. Minnesota. If you're a Vikings fan, Skol. If not, well, I still wish the best for you. You're a Packers fan from Minnesota. Well, you're halfway there. Get a little more purple on that. I'm kidding. All jokes. Chicago, I like that. NASCAR be in your town soon. Mittens is from Wisconsin. How about that? Let's see. And my wife sent me a currency chart for the future. Minnesota mentioned. Oklahoma, awesome. I love seeing where all of you guys are from. And maybe we'll make this something we do each week. Maybe we'll make it something we do each week. We'll see where each person is from. A lot of people coming on in here. So there is that. Let's see. Yeah, I like this. I'm assuming this is about me, so I'll just read it out here. Guy complains about the car track or broadcast and gets paid because these blue collar fans have no brain, which is why they're blue collar. That kind of arrogance is why people like you end up failing in the world. Don't rip on people because you disagree with them. We can disagree and be civil. And if you are going to be an asshole, we don't want you here. We don't. Um, Chat, treat him however you want. Okay. Treat him however you want. And mods, let them do it. Just don't get too nasty. But if you want to be nasty to people in here, then feel free to get nastiness sent back to you because you reap what you sow. As for what some of you guys are saying as well in here, Ryan says 1998 was the last time the 24 won the 600. Damn, it's been that long. That's right. Yeah, elitism will not be tolerated in here. To me, elitism is right there with politics, is stuff that, like, let's not sow discontent and be mean. I'm gonna shine a light on people that are gonna be assholes to everybody in here, and you guys can treat them as such. They want the smoke, they can take it. Max for the 2 says absolutely heartbroken as a Larson fan today. I'm not even a Larson fan, and I'm heartbroken for you. I so wanted to see Kyle Larson finish the double, man. I so wanted to see it. When he crashed, that deflated the whole race for me. I didn't pay attention until 10 laps ago because that was why I was really there. So wanted to see him do that. Vikings all day 005 for the 10 says, I think Larson just had the worst double attempt ever, not counting any affected by weather. Also not a bad race, but a crown jewel exclusively on a streaming site just feels wrong. I get that. I do get that because I know I was very apprehensive about it. And I still kind of am. I do feel like that crown jewels probably should be put over the air. The rest and to me, like, I look at the Southern 500 on cable and I think that's just sacrilege. We should be putting that on big NBC. But at the same time, if you're going to put it outside of those, I do think at least following it up with a great broadcast and giving us a fun look at the race is the best thing possible you can do for it. And so I will forgive. I don't blame Prime or NBC USA for any of that stuff. But I do get where you're coming from, but that probably was the worst double attempt ever. So I guess we saw history today. Crappy RC for the 2 says, I give this race a solid 99% on the groovy gauge. Yeah, at this point, Eric's probably close to putting his video out. So once we're done here, keep an eye out for Eric to put that out. Let's see. Race Hail Praise Dale for the 5 says, being an RCR fan has been rough, but I love it when a non-HMS bow tie wins. Hell of a race. I love seeing new people win. Because I don't really have any. People will accuse me left or right, one or the other of it, whether it's like, oh, you're a Hendrick Homer because you're defending that, and you're glazing Larson and you're defending Bowman and all that. And then others will be like, well, you said this about Larson, so you hate Hendrick or Byron or whatever. No, I don't like or dislike either of them. I like seeing good moments and stories. But I love seeing new winners, and I love seeing those outside of those big 3 organizations win. That's exactly how I feel about this, man. Absolutely how I feel about it. 100 Nixon Fishing for the 5 says, Prime is 600 miles better than Fox. I like what you did there, and I 100% agree with your 600-mile take. Derek with the 2 says, John Hunter Nemechek had a great performance minus the result. Yeah. I mean, I think I put in here over halfway through this race, my career night for John Hunter Nemechek and Legacy Motor Club, with the disadvantage that I know from people I've talked to, sources but inside and outside the organization and Toyota I've talked to about this. Impressive what they're able to do this year. Are they even a B-level team? No, but to be a C-level team, to be in that playoff conversation with John Hunter Nemechek and the point side of things, coming into this race and in the early part of the season, I think is nothing short of amazing, because that team has been put at such a disadvantage by JGR with a lot of the technical alliance stuff. and what they do and don't get, that them making that ground on their own from scratch is very impressive. Wheel Impressive had very nice segue there for the 5, says 8 out of 10 for Prime, points docked for sound issues with interviews and cringe artificial intelligence Michael Strahan segment during the pre-race. That was Fox that did the Michael Strahan stuff during the pre-race. The AI was Fox and IndyCar. And they did it multiple times, which was so just gross. AI for me equals ain't interested. But I get it. The sound issues, I think those need to be ironed out. It's the same thing with the CW. And I totally get that. I think that's a valid critique to have. Creston for the 5 says, how about Brad going from 1 lap down to the top 5? Hope this finish can stop the bleeding for that team. Yeah, I think this team is definitely going to be a must win and always going to be a must win the rest of 2025. But these are the positive runs that they need to have. And they're starting to string together faster cars. And that's exactly what they need, even if it's not to build for this year, but for 2026. Steve-O says, RIP to the great Phil Robertson. Duck Dynasty and NASCAR in the 2000s were a perfect match. I did see that, and I used to watch that with my family, and I saw that, and it is sad. You know, I used to really like watching that show with my family. I hope their family is doing well, whatever you think of them and outside of the show and any of that stuff. I wish the best for their family because I know what that's like as a family member losing people. So I wish the best for them. Wish the best for anyone who is affected by it as well. Raise Hell Praise Dale with the 5 here says, this might be the first weekend where the Cup was better. The Cup race was better racing than both Xfinity and trucks. 100% agree. This was the race of the weekend. Personally, across all motorsports, this was the race of the weekend for me. Absolutely loved it. Ross Crash Stain says, at the track, let's effing go with the Melons 18-month member chat. Nice. I hope you had a great time because it looked like an electric crowd, another sellout. This race, I love what it's become in the last couple of years. Bake the Snake with the 5 says, my boy BK, Brad Keselowski, finally having a good race, leading laps, and gets his first top 5, top 10 of the season. Feels so damn good. Yes, that's right. Leading laps too. Let's see. Florida man wins the Coke 600. Josh Santos says with the 44-month member chat. Great way to spend that 44-month member chat. That's what? Oh man, that's closing it on 4 years. Let's see. Kylie Creator says far better than Fox. Graphics, commentary, and all of it. 100% agree. Can't even hate on Chastain or Prime. Impressive, says BCM89. Morgan Sohn says ECR locked the F in after AJ called them out in Kansas. 7 ECR cars in the top 20 and a winner. 3 Hendrick engines. Yeah, you know what? They should. And I hope that they took that way instead of being defensive, because if that's the case, they excelled. And if they dug down and find something new, good on them. Jonathan says audio was hard to hear talking to a few drivers. I agree. And again, those things need to be ironed out. And I think they probably will. Prime has been very good with their sports coverage of adapting. Jonathan also says, but overall 9 out of 10. True. Mandudo 3 videos says race of the decade. I wouldn't go that far, but it was pretty good. Race of the year, maybe. Might be race of the year. Flying Cactus says not a good weekend for my drivers. Great race, 8.5. I see you're a Carson Osavar fan, and I am sincerely sorry. Wheel Impressive for the 5 says, giving more to correct my previous Fox did the stupid AI thing, not Prime. Please, Prime, I'll gladly take more segments with puppets and AI. 100% with you on that one. And I'm sorry I probably didn't see that. You probably sent it way after I had said the other part. A Prada with the 10 says Reddick almost wrecking near the end, plus Logano being a dick and not moving over for the leaders with less than 10 laps to go helped cost Byron the win. Gutted for him, and host of our race is still a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, and I mean, unless they give them the move over flag, I guess they're not obligated to, but it is a courtesy thing. But you know, the 24 and the 22 have had problems before. The 45 part of it, I don't think was intentional. I think, you know, that's just unfortunate. But it gave us a great finish, and I'll take a great finish. After the lackluster year we've had beforehand, I will take an awesome race and finish. Race Hell Praise Dale with another one here. Says Spire had 3 great cars today. McDowell finished well. Hocevar's engine blew, and he was running top 3 and top 2. And Haley got caught up in someone else's wreck, but he had some speed today too. The Racing Rail fan says also last 50 or so laps with no commercials. Yes. Bravo. Bravo. The lack of commercials gave such a great flow to the end of this race. And I guarantee that those who started watching at the end of this race stuck around because of that, because they were able to build the storylines, the strategy, all of it. Young Money says, can we talk about the commercial-free last 53 laps or so? Yes, again, great that more than one person brought that up. Absolutely love it. Fox Sports wishes that they were this good at broadcasting. I agree. I mean, they are leagues better than Fox. Fred Dog for the 5 says 3 finishes outside the top 30 in the last 4 races. Should we sound the panic alarm on Bubba Wallace, or can he get back to his great start to the season? I don't know if the panic alarm is the right thing for Bubba Wallace, but I am concerned because the margin for error is getting lessened. I don't have the points on me, but I assume it's a lot closer for him at this point. With so many points on the table and lost for the 23 team, you can't do that in this race. This race is so important for points, and for those on the cut line, you cannot do that. Also says, as always, I think most of us can agree that this version of Charlotte should be in the playoffs instead of the Roval and that experiment, NASCAR. Yeah, I'm with you. Please, NASCAR, especially on USA, if the night racing is better at Charlotte, put the Charlotte Oval race on USA Network. We'll get less commercials, better racing. And it's proven, even going head to head with Sunday Night Football, NASCAR actually gets better ratings in the prime time scheduled for Sunday nights than they do Sunday afternoons. We saw it with Las Vegas a couple years ago, and we'll see it probably with Las Vegas this year. Napa Racing fan says for the 2, return to the Bank of America 500 Roval's run. Of course, I'd be fine with a 500 mile or even at this point. Would totally be for it. Sergeant Cooker for the 2 said, what happened to Cindric? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I won't go TMI on it. I was not feeling well during the race. So for about those 10 laps when he went down in the pits, I actually did not see that part. I am sorry. I was feeling a little under the weather. Just a lower gut thing. I'm good now. So I apologize. Chat will be able to let you know though. God, I'm yap. I can't believe I haven't drank water and I'm still yapping. I mean, from what I could tell, they were just kind of sucking. So chat will let you know. I apologize that I didn't have that part down. That's about the only part of the race I missed for about 10 laps there. And I do feel bad that I did. But I know they were way off. I mean, it's from what I could tell from across the house, it sounded like they just were bad. Still TMI. Well, I don't think it's that TMI because you don't know how. It wasn't like it was ugly sick. Just wasn't feeling well. Had to take some meds and just sort of get in the field position for a minute. Alexander for the 10 says, I've had some personal issues that affected my favorite day of this year. If you need someone to vent to, don't feel guilty to have a friend to lean on. Better days are to come. Hopefully they will. They always do. And that goes to anyone out there. Better days are to come. Bad stuff happens at the worst times, at good times, bad times. But wake up, wake up the next day. Sun's always going to come back up. Yeah. And he's right. If you need someone to vent to them, whoever that is, whoever that person is for you. We're almost done here. I know we are going super long. Longest race of the year, probably longest post race of the year. Spencer for the 47-month member chat says W race, W coverage, W stream, WWs, W everything. Yeah, it was just a big W for NASCAR. The ratings might not show it. Maybe they do show it. I thought an awesome night for the sport. Napa Racing fan with the 2 says the racing gods punished Team Penske today. Yeah, it was just terrible. IndyCar, NASCAR, didn't matter. You got a slow or crashed car if you were Penske. Brian here says for 5, ironically, Amazon Prime builds their warehouses where short tracks once stood. Unfortunately, that is true, and it sucks. I can't defend them on that part. But that done the broadcast. Gian NASCAR fan for 5 says Carson Hocevar broke my heart when he blew up and then immediately had me crying from laughter, channeling his inner Chad Canals only in NASCAR. I love that. We did not have to have an apology for an F-bomb. We are grown-ass people, most of us. We can have an F-bomb. We do not have to have our ears sheltered. Oh, will someone please think of the children? No, come on. They've been in the car with their parents before. They've all heard their parents drop an F-bomb or two. If you're watching this stream, you heard me drop it. Come on. We're all adults here. Another one from Wheel Impressive for the 5 says, get off of Facebook, X, Instagram, etc. I did because a majority of what you see there is likely not even real and just bots. Cheers, Iceberg. Well, cheers to you. And yes, I mean, dead internet theory is more real than people think. Just look at all of the naughty lady of the night bots that you see in my comments section in the first minute of the video. If you get there and the notifications go off, that I have to continuously delete because they are just nasty bots. Soupy Spirit with 5 says, technically Jimmy Johnson did the double today too. He drove the fastest seat in racing with Tom Brady at Indy before the Charlotte race. That's right. And then he flew down and finished last in his 700 start. He finished last, right? Yep, he finished last. He's probably just having fun at this point, just trying to learn it. Learn this car. Because he pretty much said that he's at a disadvantage. Roddy8_diecast with the 2 says, I think this can be summarized by saying Fox bad. Fox bad. Napa Racing fan for the 5 says, NASCAR chose the best streamer with prime, in-depth pre- and post-race coverage, good talent. Cam's not 500% zoomed. Carnival has returned. No cartoon drivers. Good night all around. Jay Tinzel with the 2 says, can't wait for your video on Byron's worst meltdown. I don't think this is the worst meltdown. If I had to think, I don't keep track of William Byron meltdowns, but this is not the worst. I don't think this is that much of a choke job. Ryan says, closest to a perfect race in quite some time. Totally agree. And that's why I'm not going to be super negative about it. I think that we had a lot of good things out of this. Fred Dog for the 5 says, hang the banner. Hold on. Let me get it for you. Hang the banner. Keselowski now has more laps led than Catherine Legg in the top 3 series this year. Hopefully he can keep up the good runs. Yes, hang the banner. It's been a very bad year for him. We'll get back to the results there. Grizzly says, what happened to end with Bubba? Saw some coverage of him getting out of the car in the garage with no context. Did I miss something? He got caught up in one of the crashes. I believe the one with Carson Hocevar, if I'm not mistaken. They really, I will say, Prime, another nitpick, didn't really cover that too much. They mentioned it though, but he got caught up in a wreck. Justin Drake says, at one point from 7 to 9, I saw Briscoe, Gregson, and Priest, and my went, wow, let's go. What a great race for SHR. But oh man, I forgot they're gone. It was a good run. It was a good run for the alums. Elijah for the 5 says, for that one comment, I am a progressive and I have tons of respect for blue collar workers. All of us are working class people, all of us in this together. And you know what? We're all, politics aside of all of this, we are all race fans, and we should come together and celebrate racing. Liberal, conservative, American, Canadian, New Zealand, Kiwi, Australian, doesn't matter. If you're a fan of NASCAR, you want to have fun talking about NASCAR, don't care who you are welcome here. There's no room for being an asshole to everybody because we're different or we don't like each other. Like, if you're not hurting somebody, you're good by me. Ryan also says Ricky Stenhouse came back from a lap down and got P11. He has been looking like his old Xfinity Championship self, don't you think? I think so. To the degree that JTG can get. Very, very solid year so far for that 47. Not for JTG, for Hayek Motorsports. Justin with the 5 says, I now see why Daniel Suarez was renamed Daniel Swervez back in Cars 3. 2 outside, bud, in a contract year. Stupid move. Yeah, that was just a brain dead move, in my opinion. Very, very bad. Proof why he is not extended. And William Byron today proved why he is extended. And last one right now from RJ for the 2 says Chase Briscoe is finding his groove with JGR. He is. He's running. I said this before in the last couple great runs. He's running where he should, and I like to see that. All right, y'all. It's been a fun weekend. It's been a great weekend. I am so happy to be
into the prime section of the year and have some new in general on everything. Good night. Enjoy tomorrow. A lot of you have the day off, so enjoy it. Look out for some videos this week, tomorrow included. Tuesday, a fun one. And Thursday, not Wednesday, Thursday, we'll be live on Eric's channel. We'll be live in my apartment, all three of us together in person, our first in-person show in a long time. First one with just the three of us, so should be a lot of fun. Andrew also with the last super chat. After further review, Suarez gets lolcow. Yes, that's true. Suarez should get the lolcow. Thank you so much for coming in and giving me so much of your Sunday night after the race. Thank you for being such a positive and fun group to be around. I look forward to being around you guys every week, and enjoy the rest of the long weekend. Remember why it's there, and good night. Have a great night. Later, y'all.